if you're a Republican, you need to consider this as an example of media bias, I think. What would the media do with this story? This is from the Baltimore Sun. This is from 2002. 2 Baltimore ministers have been charged with obstructing a police investigation into suspected child abuse at a church-run camp in Carroll County, Maryland. The Reverend Ralph Warnock, 33, and Mark Wainwright, 30, of Douglas Memorial Community Church are accused in court documents of trying to prevent a state trooper from interviewing counselors at the church's camp furthest out in Eldersburg, Maryland. A state trooper assigned to the case said neither of the clergymen is a suspect in the child abuse investigation, but the officer would not describe the nature of the suspected abuse. Warnock, who is senior pastor of the West Baltimore Church, said yesterday the alleged abuse is not sexual. Because the investigation is continuing, he refused to comment further. The ministers interrupted a police interview of a counselor Wednesday in a room at the camp, and after investigators moved the interview to a nearby picnic table, interfered again and subsequently tried to prevent a camper from directing police to another potential witness, according to the charging documents. "I've never encountered resistance like that at all," said Trooper Diane Berry of the State Police Child and Sexual Assault Unit in Westminster, Maryland. Berry said the counselors consented to the interviews after being told they were free to go at any time and were not obliged to answer questions. After being arrested and charged, the 2 men were released with their own recognizance, awaiting trial. Warnock denied wrongdoing in his interaction with the police, saying he was only asserting lawyers should be present. Wait a second. You have a child abuse investigation, and Warnock interferes with the investigation. Warnock tries to get them to stop questioning the counselors at the camp. The police told the camp counselors they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to answer questions. They could leave at any time. They were trying to figure out the allegations of child abuse. And Warnock tried to obstruct the investigation. What would happen if this were a Republican? What would happen if the media got a hold of the story? What would happen in the media? What would the headline be? Now, one of the reasons we're only just hearing this is because we had to settle. There were 21 people running in the special election. We had to narrow it down. There was no reason to open fire on Warnock until after it was settled who was going in with him. But the media could have raised this story, and the media would have raised this story if it had happened to Doug Collins or Kelly Loeffler. If it was Doug Collins or Kelly Loeffler who had done this back in 2002, this would be a lead story at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Macon Telegraph, the Ledger-Inquirer, the Savannah paper, the Augusta paper, you name it. It would be all over television stations around Atlanta and Georgia. It would be in television advertisements that the Republican tried to block a child abuse investigation at a church. But it's Ralph Warnock. And the media will cover for Ralph Warnock. I just played you the audio of a reporter giving him a softball interview. Do you support court packing? Well, e pluribus unum, out of many come one, and I believe I've got to work for the people of Georgia. But would you support court packing? Well, I just think that I got to work for the people of Georgia. Would you support court packing? I just think that there's no reason for me to answer the questions like that when I need to work for the people of Georgia. All right, thank you for answering the question. The ministers interrupted a police interview of a counselor Wednesday in a room at the camp, and after investigators moved the interview to a nearby picnic area, interfered again and subsequently tried to prevent a camper from directing police to another witness. They tried to prevent a camper from directing police to a witness. They tried to interfere with the police talking to a camp counselor while the police were investigating child abuse. They, meaning these two pastors at a church camp. One of those pastors is running for the United States Senate in Georgia. Why won't the Georgia media cover the story?